Well, how's it going? Welcome back to the GymCraic Podcast and happy New Year 2026. Hope you have all had a good Christmas and I hope you've all had a good start to the new year and you're back into the swing of things. Today, I am going to talk to you about how we can all be high performers in 2026. But just before we get into it, the advice I'm going to give you today is taken from the Mindset Mentor. I was actually on a course for the last 2 days, a goal setting workshop, and with the Mindset Mentor, Rob Dial. If you haven't come across his podcast, an amazing podcast to do with all with mindset and goal setting and just in general, just great advice. And they're all like short 20 minute episodes that he does. But I was off work this week and I was like, I had the time to jump on the calls to actually be live because they're in America. So they were on at 9 o'clock at night in America, which was 9 o'clock in the morning in Perth. So I was able to go on the live calls, which was amazing. And then I got, obviously, anytime you go on anything like this, there's a sell point at the end. And I did buy into a 12-week course with the Mindset Mentor on goal setting and trying to become a high performer in 2026. So I've taken the notes from the last 2 days and I am going to relay them to you because I also find that when you do learn something new or you're trying to learn something new, the more you can discuss it and talk about it, then the more of a chance you have of actually doing it. And if Rob Doyle sees this podcast, there's a good chance I'll get him on my podcast eventually. But a lot of things I will talk about today, it's like very relevant in terms of you trying to achieve, even if you're just going to move forward that 1%. You know, we all have the potential to move forward at 1%. We all try to make the big, massive leaps and jumps and, you know, go above and beyond expectations. And then come the 1st of February, we've fallen off the wagon. So obviously, you want to set realistic goals and you want to set realistic targets, but it's also about pacing yourself for the year. And sometimes I think with experience you learn that you know you can't just fucking go all in on something and 100% effort and like go from 0 to 100 and then be like, okay, that was a bit too much for me. But there's parts of this that he has gone through, and again, I will like give you a kind of an understanding of what today's podcast is about. It's a lot to do with your identity, the belief, the action, and the repeated action that you have to do to kind of change your identity. Finding your why is a big one. Why is it we want to do the things we want to do? Why is it I want to do the podcast? Why is it I want to train for Ironmans? Why is it I want to train for High Rocks? Why is it I want to have a family? Why is it I want to do all these things in life? And obviously all your whys are going to be a lot different, but I've always struggled with this one. Like I have always struggled. I never really had a big enough why. Well, I think I never had a big enough why, and I'm trying to find out why it is I should have a big enough why. And I think obviously with my mother passing kind of gives me a big enough why to be like, oh, I want to make her proud, even though I always said she was proud of me. So I'm like, it's like you still want to, that you have the potential to do something better, that you need to do it. Because to be honest with you, last year I didn't achieve much, I'll tell you that much. So this year I was like, I can't, I have no excuses this year. Everything is in place. I've like a lot more structure and I'm not as unsettled and everything else. So I have to make an effort this year and really pull the finger out. Another thing he talked about was the anterior mid cingulate cortex, the MCC, the part of our brain that when we know we should do something but we don't. Now, I will briefly explain this to you right now, and in relation to this podcast, I have sat outside for the last 2 hours thinking and fecking around about, will I do this podcast? So one of the things I said I was going to do is I'm going to come on and start talking for 5 minutes and we'll see where it goes. Because the hardest part is starting, trust me, I swear to God, it has taken me 2 hours to turn on the microphone and the camera. I was like, I just need to get this done. And once you get started, hopefully then, it starts to come out and you get the ball rolling and things become easier and you get into the flow of things. Productivity is another thing. Like, in order to create the life I want, what is the belief I need to have about myself? And again, hopefully I can give you some advice on what it is that is for you. Discipline, and again, discipline does get thrown around a lot. I have all the notes in the world here. I'll show them to you if you're on YouTube. I say I say that I'd write out a few notes and I was going to do this podcast in 20 minutes. It'll probably take me an hour to get through all of it. But like with discipline, what Rob had said during the week was like it is the highest form of self-love, and it's you choosing your future self, over the current discomfort, or the current comfort, should I say. So like the easy thing for me to do today was just like write out the Saturday and do absolutely nothing and not do this podcast, because that was the comfortable thing to do. But the uncomfortable thing to do is to come on here and record it. So again, we'll go through stuff like that. And then I guess what does being a high performer actually mean? Now, I'm not trying to change the world. And like I said, it's like if you can improve by 1% each day, that's in Atomic Habits, the book. Great book, actually, if you haven't read it. And, the areas of your life that you want to improve, like your health, your fitness, your nutrition, that always stands out to me. Your relationships with your partner, with your friends, or with your family, your career, your work, your study, whatever it is you want to do to increase your potential over the next year, or get a pay rise, or you want to change jobs, or whatever the case may be. And then there's like your fun and adventure, whether you want to start doing more things that you should be doing, or you want to go on holidays, or you want to sign up for events. We all have these things that we want to do and that we should be doing more of, but we kind of wait until it actually just kind of rocks up to the front door and invites us out and gets us to do something, which is not going to happen. And then like you have your finances, whether you want to save for something, or you have a specific goal that you want to save for, or you want to pay off a debt, or you want to pay off your car, or you want to pay off the mortgage, you want to make I suppose practical kind of goals that you can try and achieve throughout the year to get you closer to that. There is intellectual as well. That was a new one for me. And again, I'm trying. You can use different ones. You know what I mean? Like I've done this with Pat Dively before. It was about 5 years ago. And honestly, I think I had the best 12 weeks I've had it in a long, long time, because it kind of brings you new things up. Like it brings a lot of new things up and stuff that you would have heard before that wouldn't resonate with you, but you're like, okay, I'm a bit older, bit more wiser. I think I can understand a bit more. And some of these things, when I did this 5 years ago, like things have completely changed since then into what I know I can do, and what I know that if I put the effort in, that I will be rewarded for it, because that is the number one thing. You put in the effort, you will be rewarded. It's not as if we might not achieve what we want to do for the first time, but we get closer to it. But without that first step forward, then you're never going to achieve anything. And one thing that he had said this week, which really stood out, is if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And it's like, I remember Shane Finn said before that, you got to dream big. And there's also dreaming big, and there's also being unrealistic, but you do have to think outside the box. Like last year, 2 years ago, I did an Ironman. Never thought I'd be able to do it. You say to yourself, like, I want to get a job with a company. I never think I'd get it. Then I got it. You never think you'll get the relationship you want in life, and then you get it. You never think you'll be able to travel to certain places in the world, and then you do. Like vision boards are a great way to bring this to fruition, basically. I've had them for years. I didn't do it last year. I am certainly going to be doing it this year. And just having a vision board, a whiteboard in the room, or else you can do it on Canva, and you just having a visual aspect that you can read and see every day. It's a massive help to you, and it's something that I definitely feel will be of great help to me personally when I do it again. So the first thing that we'll get into today is your identity. Now, there is identity equals, all right, I call it raising the bar, because identity equals belief plus action plus repeat. BAR, belief, action, repeat. And the truth is, to change your identity, first of all, you've got to believe that you can do a certain thing. Like at this present moment, you might be saying to yourself, my identity is I'm not someone that goes to the gym. All right, I obviously go back to the gym and stuff like that. It's a lot easier. But your identity, I don't read books. I'm someone that doesn't save money. I'm someone that spends too much. All this kind of stuff. And you have to try and change that belief. You have to tell yourself that you can actually go to the gym 3 days a week. You can actually save 10% of your wages every week. You can actually, you can do the hard stuff that you don't believe that you can do. So identity equals belief plus action plus repeat. Now, you have the belief, then the action. It's like, for instance, the podcast right now. The belief is, I never tell anyone. If I meet someone, I don't tell them that I'm a podcast host. I've done 56 episodes. This will be 57. I've never once told anyone that I am a podcast host. Never. As when it comes up in conversation, I tell them I'm into health and fitness. I'm an electrician. I'm a partner. I'm a boyfriend, whatever. But I've never said I'm a podcast host. So that's a belief that really needs, I think, a lot of changing. And a lot of more belief in that I actually am and that I can actually do the work. But I do doubt myself every time I turn on the microphone. So, the action is turning on the camera, turning on the microphone, putting it out there to the world and see what comes of it. And then you repeat the action. Like I've done it 56 times, but turning on the microphone today still felt like the first time because I'm very I'm not going to, I'll be hard on myself, but it's also like, I'm not consistent with it. And the more you consistently do something, the easier it would be getting. Like I'm already after talking for 11 minutes now. So I know that the 56 reps I've done before this have stood to me, but it's always difficult to start. Okay. So there is things like when you are trying to change your identity, I suppose habits take 66 days. If you want to build a habit, you want to start running, you want to start eating better, you want to start saving more, you want to read a book, you want to, start doing more hobbies. It takes 66 days to install a habit. Basically, that's what they're saying. No, don't take it from me that in 66 days you're going to have a habit drilled into you. But, this is what they say anyway, and these are the numbers I've been given. A lifestyle change takes about 12 to 18 months. So again, you do the simple habit daily, and then after 12 to 18 months, you have the lifestyle. So again, you are going to the gym now 3 days a week and you've done it for 12 to 18 months. Like that is a lifestyle change that you have introduced into your life. And then your identity, to full on change your identity, takes 3 to 4 years. Now, changing your identity, it sounds a bit extremist, doesn't it? But I look back at when I was 25 and I was loving going to the pub and getting absolutely fucked up. That was my identity. It was for years, it was. And then all of a sudden I went to CrossFit one day and then I realized that I wanted to be a little bit fitter. I wanted to lose a bit of weight. And then I got into the swing of it. And then I was after a year or two, I was oh, I am actually getting fitter. I never really done much. I only went to the gym and I only went to some classes. I never did any events. Didn't do an event until I was over the age of 30. But that was a lifestyle change then. I still drank and the whole lot. Don't drink as much anymore, but the lifestyle takes that little bit longer, but it is due to your habits of what you do daily that will change your lifestyle and then to change your identity. And then all of a sudden at the age of 31, 32, I became a fitness coach, from an electrician, from a pisshead. And that's how long that would change. That's how long it takes to change something to that extent. So, where you want to be in 3 or 4 years' time, it needs to start this year, this month, this week. And, listening to this podcast hopefully gives you an idea of, okay, I want to try and do something different. What can I do to improve my way of life that will bring me the things that I actually want in life? But there is 3 phases to creating the habits, because we're not going to go straight to our lifestyle change or our identity shift. It's phase 1. It's hard. It's hard at the start. It's 0 to 14 days. It's very hard because there's lots of resistance. It's all new to you. Let's take eating. You want to eat healthier. You're going to have to start preparing food. First of all, you're going to have to start writing a shopping list that you're not doing. Then you're going to have to take the shopping list to the shop. And then you have to try and cook the food that you have never been cooking. And you have to try and repeat that process a couple of times a week to actually get you there. So that's your phase 1 or your phase 1. Your phase 2, this is your 15 days to 45 days. And this is the messy middle. You've already worked through the hard part and now you want to continue doing it. And it does become that little bit easier. There's less resistance, but then you also have it is a messy middle part where you'll have some good days, you'll have some bad days. But the main thing is to not fall off the wagon and throw it all out the window because you've already done the hard work. But even though there is less resistance, we still feel that, it's too hard. Like, this is too hard. I can't continue this, but you can. You just have to you find ways like to make things easier. Like, for instance, you think I should know what I'm doing when it comes to, like, okay, I want to drop a couple of pounds in the next couple of months. I've been trying with the last 3 or 4 months, and something simple as I bought these pots, these, I call them my oat pots, from what's it called? Oh, Kmart or whatever it was. And I got 6 pots, and they were like quality pots, but they were just like, usually you get the plastic piece of shit, but these ones are quality. And something simple as that change has made me eat oats more regularly and be prepared, have my breakfast prepared every single day with the last 4 to 6 weeks since I bought them. Like, some subtle changes that you will just pick up on that make your life easier. So that's like your phase 2. And then the phase 3, where it's like 46 to 90, basically. Um, just because I said 66 days doesn't mean you're going to be like 66 days, I've got this. And then you have, it's like the automatic phase where, it doesn't feel as strange anymore to do it. You've been doing it regularly, you've been doing it the way that suits you, you're doing it in your time, and now it's just like an automatic habit that's instilled in you. And then that's the belief. The belief has started that you can make healthy meals, you can make healthier food choices. Then it's just a case of, you've had the belief, then there was the action to do it, and then it's just repeating the process long term. And before you know it, you will have the desired body weight that you want, basically. I hate talking about weight too much, but again, that's what, something that a lot of people would actually want to try and achieve, is fat loss. And it does take time. It's not something you can do overnight. And it's just, the belief, the action, and repeat the process and tweak it. First of all, you might be putting 100 grams of oats into your breakfast every morning. Then you realize, oh, my weight's still not coming down. Then you go to 70, then you go to 50, whatever the case may be, and you realize what works. A tip for you, and Kirby told me this and showed me this, with the overnight oats. I put 50 grams of oats into one of these pots, or 75 grams it was, and I put about 250 mils of water. The next day, they have expanded so much that I'm like, I can actually make 2 breakfasts out of this once I mix my protein and my berries in. It's simple, like, but some days you would eat your oats with cold water, and you'd start, like, put cold water into your oats, eat them like dog shit. There's nothing in the bowl. You're like, how is this going to fill me up? But if you do the hot water in the oats, trust me, and if you do it, let me know. See how much oats you have in your bowl in the morning, then mix your protein in and your low calorie berries or whatever the case may be, and you have a decent breakfast, a low calorie breakfast. So yeah, that's basically the identity part. Then I guess, it's the side of it is like, what is the high performer? And I said at the start of the show, it's like, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And this is coming down to goal setting. So I actually have a goal setting workbook that I did 4 years ago. It never seen the light of day. If you are listening to this and you want that workbook, just email or just message me on Instagram or whatever the case may be, and I'll send you that workbook. It's like a 30-page document that I made. It actually came from Pat Dively when I was doing the course 4 years ago, and then when I put it together, but it never seen the light of day. But it's still relevant today, and you can change things in it if you want, and it just kind of gets you thinking outside the box a small bit. So with your goal setting, again, health is always number one, basically, because without your health, you're fucked, basically. And there's 2 things that I do, and you can do 4 different sections, and it's like a pie chart. You have 4 sections, and then I'll have health, finances, relationships, and maybe fun and adventure, and there'll be 2 sections for each. So with the health, you have your fitness, nutrition. You can rate these from 0 to 10. So you might say your fitness is at 5, and then you're going to try and think of 3 things that are going to bring it to, like, closer to a 10, or move it that one decimal place up, or the 1.1.0 up. So that's with fitness and nutrition. That's covered under the health bracket. You can do it with your finances, like your savings, how much you want to save, what is it you have at the moment, what would you like to see in your bank account at the end of the year. Good way to track your finances. When I was younger, I never did anything with finances, but now I try to actually make an effort. Seems I'm going to have to try and buy a house, because I'm also going to have to try and have kids, and this isn't going to pay for itself. So you do need to, like, think about it and how much it is. Again, a good thing I did in the last year, I did read, or it was 2 years ago, because I did fuck all last year. Like I said, I read The Barefoot Investor, and that basically, something simple that he does is buckets, and you fill in different buckets with different things. But when it comes to your wages and saving, then putting 10% away into your savings. So say if you made $1,000 a week, which is like €500 or something, or €600, you put 10% of that away into your savings. So 10% of €600 is $60 or €60, and then at the end of the year, that 10% has grown, because you've saved 60 a week. You have 3,000. You have €3,000 in savings. If you make $1,000, you have $10,000 in savings at the end of the year, just by putting away 10%. And then the weeks that you might not make that money, you might only make €400, which you only put 40 euros in. Or if you might only make $600, you only put $60 in. And that has been a great way for me to start to save money. So I'm always doing it every week. And that way, even if my wages change every week, or whatever the case may be, if you go on holidays or you only get sick pay or whatever, you still only put the 10% in. Then you have your relationship with your partner and with your friends. Big thing for me is obviously always working on the relationship with Kirby. And then really what I really struggled with, and what I didn't do a whole pile last year, was working on the relationships with my friends. This evening, I'm actually going to go to one of the boys' house, to Daniel Conway's house, to watch the Man United Man City game, meet Eric Keane and stuff like that. I haven't seen the boys for a while, and yeah, it's just like shit like that. It's like I have to, and I think even just doing this course the last two days or whatever makes you think about these things even more, and be like, okay, you have to, you know, when someone invites you to something, you've got to say yes and go. Like, people aren't going to come to the front door and save you. People aren't going to come to the front door, knock on the front door, and be like, "Oh, you're going to come out with us tonight." You do have to make the effort. So that's something I'm going to try and focus on. Again, I'm only in Mandra for one. I'm in Mandra every second week, so I'm basically on site for 7 months of the year. No, that's one thing that I'm going to try and have to, not do too long term, but it is like when I get the week off, I have to make the effort to do things. I went to a triathlon club last night. That was the first time. That was a social group. Again, I need to join a triathlon club. I want to do more triathlons. You can train by yourself, make no friends, or else you can go down to the club. And I went down to the club last night. I did a 3K run. They went first. They called it a splash and dash, where they swam for about 10 minutes, and then they came out and they went for a run for 15 minutes. And I just did the run part. But the main thing was just to go down there. The entry barrier was just go there, show face, get to know more people, and then, you find a group that you can train with for the next year, or whatever the case may be. I did it the same with a run club. And again, now it is obviously summertime in Australia, but for any of you at home in Ireland, again, it's just like going to a gym that you will enjoy. Going doing yoga classes, going doing fitness classes, going joining triathlon clubs, whatever it is, or a run club, whenever they're running. I know the weather will be shit, but there'll be people there, and it won't be so miserable when you go there and you have other people to run with. So again, it's like you do have to try and find, like, I used to love training. I was always someone that trained with other people, and then I started becoming a person that trained by myself. Now I'm telling you, I don't want to be doing this by myself. I need people to train with to get the best out of me and to make it a little bit easier. And once it's made easier, then yeah, you can do the training by yourself. But I'm certainly need people at the moment to help me train and just to enjoy training and enjoy life a little bit more. You can look at stuff like your career, your work, and your study. So maybe for your career, you are whatever you want to you want to try and move up the ladder. Basically, you're in a job and you feel like, okay, I need to like try and progress, because obviously if you could progress, you're going to make more money. You make more money, you have more savings. You have more savings, you can have more fun. That's basically how it is. And I've even done that with my work as a Sparky. I got offered the chance, like, even though just being a Sparky in a new role, it was still more money than I could have asked for. And then I got offered a chance 2 months ago to do step up supervisor. And I promised myself I was going to say no to nothing. Anything that comes my way, I'm saying yes. And two things did come my way. It was to be a health and safety rep. I said yes to that. and then I got voted in. I haven't done the course yet, but it's there for me to do. And then I got asked to be step up supervisor, or like, you do the courses and then the chances are you're going to be full-time supervisor. Doesn't really bother me if I ever become full-time supervisor, but at least I've said yes to it now that I actually have got the training, do the courses, and if you do step up, you get more money. And if I'm going to be working away, I might as well get the most money I can while I am away, because I'm away as it is. So I might as well be getting paid more to do whatever it is I have to do. So yeah, that's another side of it. And then you can have your fun and adventure, your hobbies, stuff that you haven't done for a while. Get back into doing it again. Maybe you play the guitar. Maybe you start playing the guitar again. Thinking about your holidays. Maybe you haven't been on a long holiday or a good holiday or a sun holiday for quite a while. What can you start doing to implementing that? Booking the holiday, paying the deposit. Paying the deposit is the easiest thing you'll ever do. Put €100 down, find the place you want to go in July, and put the deposit down, and you will start paying it off. But if you keep thinking about it and procrastinating about it, you'll get nothing done. So that's just the side of like, improving these areas of our lives are going to make us a high performer in 2026. And even if you just improved one area of that, if it was just like your fun and adventure, if you were having more fun for the next year, you'd be having a better life. If it was something that you want to focus on your career and you improve that side, yes, maybe sometimes you can't improve all the areas, but it's well worth looking at what is working for you and what is not working for you. So like, it's, for me, there's a couple of things that like I wouldn't, my, I suppose, work career, I'm kind of steady at that. I'm happy with that. I wouldn't be pushing for more things. My health and fitness is at a reasonable level at the start of the year, but I do always try and push that one out a little bit. My finances, trying to save, to be honest, I'm not going to push too hard on it, but I'm going to continue to do what I did last year because that worked for me. And yeah, I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself to like go too over the top with that. So yeah, they're just a couple of kind of like goal setting things that you can look at in 2026. And again, if you want that workbook, just ask me for it, and yeah, I'll get that sent to you. So in order to create the life I want, I need to believe more about myself. Like, that's the belief you've got to have about yourself. And the reason for that is like, you do want more productivity, you want more freedom, you want more money, you want more fulfillment, better results and better relationships. It will all come. That's like when you truly believe that you can create the life that you want for yourself. And I do have to believe that. I won't lie to you, like, I can't say last year was the greatest year of my life or whatever, but I've also had that negative aspect of like, oh, why am I working on a mindset? Why have I stopped coaching again? All these things kind of bite at me, and I'm like, you need to change your attitude towards a lot of things, because I have a lot of things to be grateful for. And there's a lot of things, even though I know I had a tough year last year, but I can't roll into 2026 with that attitude that the world is against me, or that the things that I want to achieve, I'm not achieving because this is the way I think, So they are definitely things that you do have to try and look at yourself and have an honest conversation with yourself and say, this is exactly what it is I'm going to have to do this year so that I can, improve the way I am. So with discipline, and I said it at the start of the show, it is the highest form of self-love. Now, when I hear that, I'm like, oh, I don't know if that sits with me. Self-love, what is self-love? Is it self-compassion? Is it like talking to myself better? And it can mean a number of different things, but definitely I think when people hear about discipline, it's like, oh, I want to be more disciplined. But like, what is more disciplined? Like, what are you trying to say to yourself, and what are you going to do about it? Because we all know that we lack discipline in a lot of areas of our life, and we're just not doing the things that we should be doing. But again, we've no way to track it. Sometimes it's just like willy-nilly, I'm just going to fucking be more disciplined at training, but you're not tracking how many times a day you're training or times a week you're training. You don't have a fitness coach. You don't have a meal plan. You don't have a purpose. It's just like throwing shit against the wall and seeing what's going to stick over the next like year. And before you know it, it's 2027 and you're listening to another podcast on what it is that I am going to be doing. Like what is I'm going to do to change my life this year. Now, with this course that I'm going to do with the Mindset Mentor, it is $1,500 for the 12 weeks. $1,500. Now, when you look at things and you're like, The price of stuff, that used to always be massive for me. I was like, there is no way I would pay $1,500. That was like, that's around €1,000 or something like that. But investing in yourself is the single most important thing you will ever do. And I've done it over the last couple of years where I have now invested in myself. Um, Courses usually around, you're not getting any course for less than fucking $1,000. That's like 12 weeks. I've signed up for an electrical course that was $1,200 last year. I signed up for a sleep, stress, and recovery course that I actually signed up for that last year, and I've done 10% of it, I'd say. So that was actually about $2,000. And then this is the first thing this year that I've really invested in myself to be like, okay, this is something that I want to do. But like over the case of 12, I remember when I did this with Pat Divilly 5 years ago. And I think I paid probably again close to $1,000 or something for it. But that's like $100 a week, to work on your mindset, to work on your productivity, to work on your identity, to work on all these goals that you want to achieve. But you'd pay $100 a week to a fitness coach, and the only thing they're probably going to work on is giving you a gym program that they've copy and pasted off someone else, and a meal plan that's like 2,000 calories, and if that doesn't work, we'll put you on 1,800. But I do believe these mindset coaches and how you think and how you talk to yourself have a massive purpose in how you achieve all the other things that you want to do in life. So, for me, like discipline is like, you can say things to yourself like, I will meal prep on Saturday. Every week for the next 12 weeks, I'm going to meal prep on Saturday. And then obviously, if you're doing that for the next 12 weeks, you realize that it's actually working and saving you time and saving your money, then you're going to be doing it long term. Again, it is a case of the belief that you can do it. Or sorry, again, it's the belief that you can do it. It's the action of actually doing it. And then you're just repeating it every weekend. That's basically your identity shift. But like I said, that identity shift takes 3 to 4 years. But the habits that you will install will get you to that identity change. And like, you know, you might be listening to this and saying to yourself, I don't want to change my identity. I'm happy with who I am. And that is perfectly fine as well. A lot of us are happy with who we are. And I'm certainly happy with who I am. But there is also parts of me that I'm like, they do need changing. And this comes, I remember, like I said to myself when I was like 30 years of age, 32, probably living in Thailand. I didn't have a care in the world. I did not give a shit about absolutely anything. I didn't care about my bank account. I didn't care about relationships. I didn't care about. There was a lot of things I didn't care about because I was like, I'm just living my best life. No one's sick. Everyone's healthy. I'm fine. I'm fit. I'm healthy. I'm having the time of my life. But things change, and you are trying to, when things change and circumstances change, then you have to have a way of making it work for you. And that's something I have really struggled with the last couple of years, is like, I always bring it back to being grateful now, because I'm like, there's a lot that I have that I should be grateful for, and that, sometimes I feel like that I'm very hard on myself, but it's definitely something that I feel that I need to work a lot more on myself now than I did 5 years ago. And you probably wouldn't think that would be the case, but that's exactly how I feel at this moment. That's why I try and do these things, is try and better myself. And hopefully in that 3 or 4 years time, it's not that I want to have a completely different identity, but I'd love to still be like, being a podcast host, still doing the training thing. My identity might be I'm a father. This is it, like. And then, okay, what am I? What are the things around being a parent that I need to know, like, bring into my life? Because that will bring in a big identity shift. But yeah, for a lot of us at the start, it's like there isn't too many things you need to change, but there might be one or two areas of your life where you're like, okay, I definitely need to speak to myself better. I need to do the things I should be doing in that area of my life so that I improve that area. Other things that you can say to yourself when you are trying to improve your discipline is like, I will save 10 to 20% of my wages. Like I said earlier, that's always just 10%. Start to small, or even 5%, and see how you go with that for the first couple of weeks or months. And if it's working for you, maybe you go 7%. Then maybe you go to 10%. And by the end of the year, you have the money to buy yourself an online course and go on holidays, or even 2 holidays, depending where you're going. Another thing you can do is I will do at least 20 minutes, 20 minutes of exercise 3 to 4 days per week. again, too many times we try and do too many things too soon. I was going to sign up for basically a half Ironman. It's the Boston 100 in May. Have not swam a meter since my Ironman over a year ago. And here I am now talking to Kirby saying, oh, we should do Boston 100, where you have to swim 2K, ride for 90K, and ride for 80K and run for 18. And then I was down at the triathlon club last night and someone said, oh, there is a sprint triathlon, which was the sprint triathlon was the first ever triathlon that I did. 700 meter swim, 20K bike ride, and a 5K run. And I thought to myself when I left there, I was like, there's nothing wrong with going back to the start again, because I'll probably get just as much enjoyment out of doing a sprint triathlon for probably $100 compared to paying $700 or $800 to do the Boston 100. And I still get the same satisfaction. I'm still swimming, I'm still cycling the bike I have, and I'm still running. So, that was actually a realization last night. So again, like for you might be like, I'm just going to do 20 minutes of walking 3 or 4 days a week. Or even when I go to the gym now, some days I only do 3 exercises. I'll go in, I'll do 3 exercises, it's 30 minutes, and I'm gone. Because I know if I tell myself I'm going to go to the gym 3 or 4 days a week, like to the actual gym, and do 5 or 6 or 7 exercises, and lower body 2 days a week, upper body or lower body once a week, upper body twice a week, try and fit in all this running that I'm doing, and try and fit in the high rocks training that I'm doing for Bangkok in 8 weeks time. Like, it's just not going to be done. So some days now I'll just go in and do 3 exercises, and like that makes me feel accomplished. That's the God's honest truth. Like, I'm not someone now that goes, I'm going to do an hour inside the gym. It's just not going to happen, but I will get the exact same benefit mentally from it. Maybe not the gains that you would hope for over an hour of training, but I'm quite happy to do that. Another thing to build discipline, I'm telling myself, is like, my bedtime is 9 to 9:30. Crazy. Before I was like 12 o'clock at night. But I have to be in bed at work. When I'm up at work, I have to be in bed from 9 to 9:30 because I am awake. I have to be up. If I'm going to train in the morning, I got to get up at 4 o'clock. And I'm like, if I'm either in the gym or if I'm out running or if I'm on the treadmill running, whatever the case may be, by the time I'm done and I need to have a shower, it's 45 minutes. Like, I kind of limit every session that I do while I'm at work to 45 minutes. Even when I'm down here now in let's say, I probably should call it Perth, because no one will have a clue where Mandurah is. But Mandurah is south of Perth. But I live in Mandurah now. It's an hour south of Perth. And if I do train here, like when I go to the gym, I'll probably do two sessions in a day, but one might be a run, one might be a gym session, or one might be a run, one might be a high rock session, or else I just go on the Stairmaster, or I go on the treadmill and I'll watch some of the stuff that I need to watch in terms of my electrical videos that I've been studying, and any videos that I want to watch or catch up on football, whatever the case may be, I'll do it all on the treadmill. So trying to set a regular bedtime. When I'm down here, when I'm back from work, Kirby is in bed early, so I am trying to be better. It's something I've really struggled with, and I really do feel that is a big part of my life that could change, like that I could be better at, is getting more sleep, better quality sleep. And like, I probably do not hit the 8 hours every night. I wish I did, but if I want to hit 8 hours at work, I gotta be in bed for 8 o'clock, and I gotta be up at 4, like waking at 4, or else if I did 9 to 5, and then I don't get to train that morning, and I'd have to train in the evening. So it's like catch 22. So when I'm at work, I'm trying not to do as much as I do when I'm down here in Perth. And then the last thing I suppose that I'm saying, like, to build better discipline, is I will contact friends every 2 to 3 days. So again, when you are setting goals, like, there is the SMART acronym that gets thrown around, but the main thing with that is, like, I think SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, SMA, realistic, and time frame. But you don't want to just say, I'm going to contact friends every week. That's kind of too vague. So it's like, I will contact friends every 2 to 3 days. So at least if you contact, or I'm going to contact one friend every 2 to 3 days. It's the same when I said about the bedtime. I'm being specific about the time frame. When I'm going to the gym, I'm being specific with the amount of time, the 20 minutes, and the 3 to 4 days a week. When I talk about my wages, I'm being specific with, 10 to 20% of my wages. So it's being specific. It's being Is that attainable? Yes. I haven't, like, if I said I wanted to save $5,000 in a year, then that would have been more specific. And then, like, in a year would have been time for tea. So, the more you can be specific with your goals, the more measurable they actually are. So that's kind of building how I would intend to build discipline. Now, the last two things I suppose I will talk about, we'll make this one nice and quick. I mentioned about the anterior mid cingulate cortex. Now, that's a massive word. Now, that's something I would not be spitting out too often. And it is something I have written down, and I have it literally blown out as mid cingulate cortex. And it is a part of the brain that it's the cognitive control and decision making. And when I heard that this week, I was like, I've heard about a lot of the brain over the years. It's very hard to understand because it's obviously a technical part of the body, and it's like the lingo around it. But you hear about the prefrontal cortex, you'd hear about all these other parts of the brains that I can't even bloody name out. But this one was brilliant when I heard about it. And I was thinking then there was like the short version of that was the MCC. Now, as an electrician, we deal with MCBs, which are miniature circuit breakers. So I'm going to abbreviate this MCC as the miniature circuit controller. It's a little part of your brain, all right? And it's like recording this podcast. You want to do it, but you don't do it. You don't take action on it. A part of me yesterday was, I need to cut the grass. I didn't want to do it, but I knew that if I did cut the grass, then I was improving this part of my brain. You are making this muscle in your brain. Well, it's not really a muscle, it's part of your brain, but you're strengthening it by doing the things you don't want to do. Other things is like, I don't want to go for the walk today. Like, I'm not going to go for that walk. I should go for the walk. I'm telling myself I'm going to go for the walk. And then you don't go for the walk. But you do. And then when you do go for the walk, you are strengthening the anterior mid cingulate, I think that's how you say it, cortex, the MCC. So like I said, we're going to call it the miniature circuit controller. So that's controlling a part of your brain that you know you should be doing something, but you are not, all right? And there was two things he actually, I have this on paper here, so I'm going to open it up for you. And he used the breadcrumb method, and shrink to start was some of the advice that Rob Doyle had given us. Now, the breadcrumb method is brilliant because it's like how you can actually set yourself up for success the next day. Now, where are they gone here? Let me grab these. I know I have them written down because I wrote everything down in my book yesterday. So the breadcrumb method, it's the entry barrier is low. So like I said to you, when I wanted to start this podcast this morning, or just right now, I said I was only going to do 5 minutes. I'm now 45 minutes into it. So I was just like, I'm just going to set up the camera and I'm just going to press start. But the other things you can do is like, you have 15 seconds to initiate the action. So if you're telling yourself, okay, I need to go bring in the washing from the clothesline, you have 15 seconds to not talk yourself out of it. You just got to go do it. I got to put the dishes away. Don't procrastinate on it. Just go do it within 15 seconds. You want to, what else was there? There's like so that's like, you have to initiate from the very start that you're going to get it done. Another good thing Kirby had actually said to me recently was when we don't want to do something, if there's something that needs to be done about the house, and Kirby says to me, Adrian, we got to go do this, it means that she doesn't want to do it and she knows I don't want to do it. So the two of us have got to go do it. Okay. That could be weeding. It could be taking out the bins, whatever the case may be. It's just something that's got to be done, that needs to be done right now. But when it comes down to the breadcrumb method, something as simple as like leaving your, say, running shoes at the front door, or even better, leaving your running shoes at the foot of your bed before you get up in the morning. Getting your gym clothes ready the night before so that they're ready to go. Preparing your oats, like I mentioned already, for your breakfast or whatever the case may be. Having your water bottle full at nighttime so that when you go to the fridge, you just got to grab your water bottle and take it out. I also have written down the podcast equipment setup. It's just like, it's leaving my podcast equipment in sight. Because if I don't leave it in sight, it's just like where you don't see it. Uh, Analogy that Rob Doyle gave yesterday was a meditation pillow. He put the meditation pillow in the middle of his kitchen so that every time he walked past it, he would have to sit in it to meditate. So, it's all these little things that kind of give you pointers. And again, it's like the cue routine reward that's in Atomic Habits, but it was also in cue craving reward response. I think that was who said that? Not Craig. Cue craving response reward. Oh shit, I can't remember his name. That was a book going back a couple of years ago. Charles Duhigg, I think it was, and he uses that, and then Atomic Habits kind of spun it a little bit. When we are talking about getting that part of the MCC, the part of the brain initiated again, it's like shrinking the start. I'm only going to do 3 exercises at the gym. I'm only going to cut 5 square meters. I've this written down. This was from yesterday. I said to myself, I'm only going to cut 5 square meters at the back of the house, even though there was like 25 square meters to do. I was like, I'm just going to cut 5 just to get me started. When it comes to cleaning the house, I'm just going to clean 1 toilet. Once you've cleaned 1 toilet, you're probably going to clean 2 toilets. You're probably going to clean the kitchen. You're probably going to clean the sitting room. You're probably going to clean the bedroom. I'm going to walk for 5 minutes. All right. That's like shrinking the start. And anything after that then is just going to be a bonus. So if you don't want to do the 20 minutes, tell yourself you're going to do 5. You've put on your shoes. You've got out the door. You've put on your jacket. Now you've done 5 minutes. Now you've got to walk back 5 minutes. So, there's your 10 minutes. And if you do end up doing the 20 minutes, well, great. But if you don't do the 20 minutes, well, at least you did something. And that's what you are trying to initiate in your brain, is that you're going to strengthen that part to be like, I know I can do this. And the more times I do it, then the more I can repeat it and the better I'm going to get at it. It goes for reading. I'm going to read 5 pages of a book. I bought a new book this week. It seems like I'm doing a lot of things this week. Now I know that, all right? But I was like, I am going to buy a book because I haven't read. I usually try and set a goal of 10 books per year. I definitely didn't hit that last year. I might have listened to 10 audiobooks, but I definitely didn't read 10 books. So I was like, hey, just reading 5 pages, and before you know it, you've read 8. Then you can put it down. Then you can come back to it later on, whatever the case may be. So even when it goes at my electrical exam, or not my exam, but the electrical course I'm doing, there's loads of videos to watch, and the shrink the start part is basically I'm just going to watch 1 video. And again, you can use that for whatever it is you want to do. If you're going to meal prep, if you're going to go to yoga, you're going to do whatever the case may be, just shrink the start. Think about what is the smallest thing you can do that's going to make you start that task. And then another thing is just like, I suppose, our brains don't like unfinished business. So basically, if you start something like this podcast, do you know how hard it would have been for me to turn off the camera after 10 minutes after starting this? And now, we're at the end of it. And I'm like, I'm glad I've been able to, go through all the notes that I have done, and that I have, gotten to the end of this podcast after 48 minutes and being like, I think that's enough for what people want to hear for today. It's another episode done. Again, you're building your 2.0. The person that's listening to this is the 1.0. The person that's leading into 2026 wants to become version 2.0. They want to improve. They want to be better. They want to get more shit done. They want to achieve more. But, we do have to set clear and realistic goals and expectations of ourselves for what it is we want to achieve for the next 12 months. And by writing those down and checking in on them every 3 months to see if you're actually on target. If you're not on target, then there's plenty of people that will help you achieve your goals. Yes, it's not going to be for free probably, but there is plenty of people with coaches, with mindset coaches, with nutritionists, with whatever it is you're looking for to help you improve in 2026. The people are there, the communities are there. People in your shoes, people at the exact same starting point as you, are all wanting to move forward, and it's finding those people. You've got to go looking for them. I was looking at how could I grow the podcast this year, because it's very lonely. I find it actually very lonely to be doing this half the time. I have considered a co-host to kind of bounce stuff off. I do have someone in mind. I put that out to the world. If he's listening, and if he thinks it could be for him, and if he would be interested, he lives in Ireland. and I'd be more than happy to have him as a co-host because I think he'd be good fun. So if you think you're that person, let me know. But I do have a person in mind. But I think it would actually help bring a bit more life to the podcast and just more ideas and a bit of fun and accountability to get more of them done. And that's something that I want to try and improve. But yeah, just finding groups on Facebook and getting ideas and looking what other people are doing. People are in the exact same boat as me. Someone wrote today that they got 20 listens on their episode of a podcast and like they were delighted. And sometimes you can look at downloads. I actually don't really look at the download side of things. It's always nice when you do have a good episode and next thing one day you check it and it has shit tons of listens and people have got something from it. But other than that, it's just like strengthening the muscle of chatting, of like I find this very creative. That's kind of the whole point of the podcast. It's like I'm just being creative, and it does help. And every time you do one, you feel like it's success. That's how I measure success, is just by doing the episode. And obviously, if one or two people listen to it and I get some feedback on it and they got value from it, then I am happy. But I'm also happy if I don't get the feedback. That's the God's honest truth. But if you are listening, I appreciate your support. If you got anything from this podcast, please, you can share it with your friends, or more importantly, just let me know that you've been listening, because it always encourages me to like think about what am I going to talk about next. But yeah, thank you all for your time. Have a great weekend. Happy New Year, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.